And we have a go for auto sequence start. T-minus 17 seconds and countdown. All systems are go. Start. 2, 1. Boost ignition and liftoff.
It's time to charge up with Victor Pisano.
Hey everybody, it's Victor Pisano, and thank you for listening to another edition of the Powercast from Charge Up. Let's put a new set of lenses on today as we discuss leadership. At Charge Up, we provide you with the resources and information and even encouragement to expand upon your base of knowledge as a leader, how to become stronger, more efficient, how to discover the leader within yourself. So let's focus right there, how to discover the leader within yourself. One thing I believe we may have to put the car in reverse on is there are still numerous examples of leaders today that are not willing to adapt to the leadership styles of those that are looking for encouragement, for those that really want to be innovative, want to be creative, want to contribute to the organization. There are leaders that still lead with such an authoritative style that it's taking away from exactly what you're hiring. If you're looking for people who can bring something new to the company, who have the ability to create breakthroughs, who have the personality to expand and network your brand, you have to trust the process and you have to encourage those people. Because as a leader, sure, you want to set the bar, but in a perfect world, as a leader, you want people to constantly pass that bar. You're encouraging their success. Too many leaders right now still have a tremendous amount of ego that it's almost against their will to have somebody take the spotlight for a second, to have one of their employees go outside the box. And it's frustrating for so many people. And I talk with these people. I've had these experiences before personally, where 99% of what you do is incredibly positive. It's contributing to the good of the organization. You're committed, you're involved, you're totally vested. But the only way that leader feels power is to find the 1% that you may be struggling with or just may not be your strength. And that's what they focus on. How can any of us gain any momentum, gain any traction in our quest to be a strong leader, to be somebody who's going to contribute to the greater good, who's going to be the sum of parts of an entire team, when we have a leader who is a complete distraction, who is unmotivating, and is just depressing to work for? You see, we work so hard to find the right job that we say, hey, I'm confident this is something I enjoy. It's not going to be work. This is exactly what I want to be. The people I work with, they drive me, they push me. And your first impression of your boss, of the leader, is a positive one. But once you get settled in, you start to hear the real thing. You start to listen to others. But then you actually get to witness it for yourself. And it's such a depressing feeling saying to yourself, how much of this can I take? You have to understand, if you're in a position of leadership, you have to do self-awareness exercises. You've got to look within and be honest enough to do a self-evaluation and identify those areas that may not be strengths. And if leading a team, if being the person who elicits greatness out of others, who has humility, selflessness, integrity, character, always, if you can totally grasp the fact that leadership is a lonely job. You have to be humble. Your disposition at all times is humility. You have to constantly solicit feedback to see, am I doing what I need to do? Be honest enough with yourself that if the answers have changed from the day you started leading, maybe it's time to find another position. You didn't lose. You just didn't adapt. And if you didn't adapt, why don't you make the change instead of people leaving the company at a tremendous rate because they're not being led? Simon Sinek has the most profound quote when it comes to leadership. A boss has the title, a leader has the people. And that's it. Leadership is such a complex blend of competencies and capabilities. People still, to this day, treat it as a position, a title of authority. They don't understand that it's action and example in a constant fashion. They don't take feedback. It's their way or no way. They find something and they pick on it constantly. They destroy your creativity. They become a distraction. And all of a sudden, the motivation that you brought to the company as a strength diminishes. And as it diminishes, the return on investment for you as an employee goes down. And companies sometimes are so focused on the financial aspect, which, don't get me wrong, you're in business to make money, but you've got to understand the most important customer you have are your employees. And when you're so focused on the bottom line and you're not paying attention to those employees who have the capability to take you to another level, when you're not looking at the rate of people leaving your company, by not retaining them, you've got to focus on the leader. Instead of allowing that person to say they just didn't fit in, allowing that person to give excuses for why they went to another company. If there's a trend, you've got to dig deep and figure out what it is. And in most cases, it is that leader. They're not empathetic. They don't have gratitude for the people who are on their team. Now, they may have their own struggles, but you've got to put those aside as a leader. You are no longer a part of a team where you do have the ability to struggle from time to time, where you do have the ability to make some mistakes. As a leader, you've got to be so focused on plan A, B, C, and D, so you're always one step ahead. More important, as a leader, you've accepted the fact that you will take on a role of mentorship. You will work to develop the talents of the people under you. You will work to develop their talents to a level that they didn't even think they could achieve. Those are what the successful leaders do. The role of a leader is thankless. I get it. It can be risky, it can be lonely, but you can't lead from the crowd. You've got to be bold. You've got to act alone. You've got to make decisions that affect people in a positive way. A leader's got to have courage. They've got to be vulnerable. But it's the greatest reward when you see the people that you lead become successful. You want that to happen because as a leader, your job is not to constantly criticize and demean people. Those times are gone. Times have changed. We have people who are incredibly brave and courageous to think outside of the box. We have people who want to be innovators. We have people who want to contribute. It's more important to them to have the appreciation and a feeling of gratitude than even looking at the amount of money they make. We're still allowing leaders to lead in such a selfish way, and that's something that has to stop. I always talk about the skills necessary to be a competent leader. Let me talk about some of those. I talk about integrity, courage, passion, commitment, empathy, perspective, gratitude, willingness, humility, and self-awareness, okay? Those 10 things. Those are a lot of traits to be successful at. That's a lot of pressure to carry. But you see, you made the conscious choice to become a leader. You made the decision to go into this role. Now you have an obligation to fulfill it. You have got to be prepared as a leader to trust and serve and give those around you permission to succeed. If you do not meet that criteria anymore, it is time to find a new role. Because losing you, as opposed to numerous employees, benefit reward does not work well. You are really being selfish if you do not discover these things. If you don't get the respect from your employees, if you don't see them going to you for advice or asking questions outside of the box or trusting you in situations where they're vulnerable, if they simply just do what's considered protocol, hey, it's time to seriously look where your feet are and evaluate the situation. You no longer are motivating these people. You are not a leader, you are a boss. The concept of being a boss left years ago. There are too many talented people and there are too many innovative companies who are willing to invest in incredible leadership for you to take advantage of others, for you to take advantage of incredible talent. They will go elsewhere. So leaders of leaders, senior management, don't just give 360 evaluations. That drives me nuts. Companies do 360 evaluations, spend all this money, they get all of the analytics together, and no one ever sees it. No one ever talks about it. It just sits in their file. How many leaders could show such compassion and respect and integrity by sitting down with that 360 review with their team and in a very non-defensive mode, but with humility? Say, hey, I want to go over this with you guys because the only way you get better is if I get better. You see, you're going to earn respect with things like that, but instead, it just goes in a file year after year. Employees spend time checking the boxes. Some scared to be honest because their leader will find a way to get back at you. Their leader will hold a grudge. Others have the courage to be honest because they want to improve their workplace. Well, if you're on senior leadership and you're not paying attention to those evaluations, well, then you know what? It's on you. It's no longer on the leader. If you invest the time and the money in trying to develop employees who can contribute and can grow, if you're not doing the same thing with your leadership, you're being a hypocrite. So here's my call to action. For those of you who are working for a leader who is not inspiring, working for a leader who continually puts you down, working for a leader who does not allow creativity, you have to have an honest conversation. You do it with respect because you always have to be the bigger person. You do it with respect, you do it with candor, and you simply bring the point up of you need to be motivated, that you need somebody to mentor you, that you want to thrive in the role you're in. Be honest with people. That's the only way change happens. If those changes don't occur at 30, 60, 90 days, then that person's not right for you. On the other side, leaders, if somebody comes to you asking these questions, be vulnerable and humble enough to sit and listen. Do not talk. Sit and listen to everything they have to say, and then do not be vindictive, but rather take the information, process it, put a game plan together for how you are going to improve as a leader. I'm not saying that you cannot take a bad situation and make it good. In fact, I'm telling you the opposite. I believe leaders can adapt. They just have to be willing to do it. Take a step forward and at least begin the journey. Because if you're standing still, time's passed you up. And you stand still long enough, all you're doing is ruining the company culture. And at some point when you are exposed, the damage may be too much. And that's not fair. That's not right. You either can lead and lead through growth, or you're a boss and like to be set in your ways. If you're set in your ways, find a new position. Find somewhere else to work. Find a new role to play within the company, but do not destroy the creativity of people who are willing to be innovative and want to contribute and want to grow and become successful leaders who make an impact every single day with ideas that are fresh, that are innovative. Let them find the breakthroughs. That's the kind of leader we need today. As always, everybody at Charge Up, thanks you for listening. We sincerely appreciate all of your support. You can find our podcasts everywhere. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Libsyn. There's no excuse. It's a great way to pass time as you're going to work, or if you're working out, or if you just need some time to get your mind straight and to grow personally. Have a great day. Go make a difference today. And don't forget, my friends, charge up.
Roger, we'll stop. That was a picture-perfect end to a top-fuel mission. Everybody, welcome back to Earth.
Thanks for listening to Charge Up with Victor Pisano. Subscribe to the podcast at chargeuptoday.com.